Hello, and welcome to episode 263 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko, and today is February 10th, 2025. Today I'm wearing a scarf or a shawl that my sister knit, and it's knit out of a lace weight yarn by Schoppel. So it's called their lace ball, and Schoppel are famous for their very long color how you call it, color, not color repeat, maybe color repeat, but just their very unique colorways. And they wind the balls so that the same color sort of sits together on the ball. So the Zauberball, the magic balls, and the lace balls, they already look very nice and unique as a yarn ball. And I'm pretty sure that I bought the yarn somewhere and gave it to my sister, and I think I gave her 200-gram balls to knit a nice big shawl for herself. And then she ended up just using one of them, and she knitted this scarf or shawl. And as she doesn't like to work from patterns or complicated patterns, she just picked out this lace pattern from a pattern book, and then she cast on stitches and she knit a fairly simple scarf. Yeah, and it sort of ended up being a scarf, even though she wanted a shawl. And I think the reason that this turned out a bit smaller than she wanted was the reason that she didn't really like wearing it. And then at one point she asked me if I wanted to have it, and I was really happy to take it because I like, I like the colors and I like the pattern that she chose. And as this is a fairly simple knit, it's something that I probably wouldn't like to knit myself. So I'm really happy to get it. And I think she still has a second ball of yarn, so she could knit something else, maybe more to her liking at some point. And I thought the kind of blue, light blue and dark blue that was in the scarf or the shawl works really well with the blues in this cardigan. And this is the Hexagon crochet cardigan that I crocheted not too long ago out of two opal rainforest colorways. One of them was the red with the blue, and the other one is the blue with the red, but the reds and the blues really go together well. So I'd already been thinking of a project to combine those two colors, and when I started thinking about crocheting a cardigan, I thought that's the perfect project for it. So I used the 6-ply sock yarn by Opal that comes in 150-gram balls, and I used the first 150 grams to crochet the hexagon. So that gave me a certain width, especially for this. Oh no, I didn't use up the whole ball. I crocheted so that the width for the arm was okay for my arm, for my sleeve. I did that twice. And then I crocheted this bit together, and I used the rest of the 150 grams to make the sleeves longer. And then, so this all is 150 grams, the same here. And then I used the blue yarn first to make the front and back a bit wider. And then I used it to make the cardigan longer. And it's gotten really long. I'm really happy with the length. I think it's the longest cardigan I have. And then I also used the blue to make the sleeves a bit longer. And then I put some red buttons on it. And really, really like this cardigan a lot. It's one of my favorite pieces to wear at home. I just throw it over whatever I'm wearing at home. And so I wanted to wear it on the podcast again. Oh yeah, and then at the end I crocheted a little granny square, and I just sewed it onto the cardigan. So I have a nice little pocket here. It's just enough to put a handkerchief in, but I can put my mobile phone in there for a while. I wouldn't put it in there for the whole day, then it would just put it down too much. But if I'm just going from here to there and I want to carry something else, I can put the phone with my handkerchief into the pocket and carry it around. Yeah, so much to what I'm wearing today. With the scarf, the way I was wearing it in the beginning is I folded it in half and then put it like this and then pulled the ends through. That's one way of wearing it that's quite nice. But another way that I really enjoy wearing scarves is that I put the middle of the scarf in front of me, then I cross over at the back, and then what I do is this is like on top, and then I will grab the other half like this and pull this end through. It's a bit difficult to explain, but it gives me sort of a cross here, and it gives me both colors in front, and it gives me the two ends hanging like this, and it gives me a really warm neck, and I think it looks nice. So this is the way I'm going to wear it for the rest of the video. Now, on to finished objects, and I actually have 4 finished objects. It's only 3 finished projects, but I'll talk about that a bit later. And I'll start with the oldest to the newest, and that happens to be the biggest to the smallest today, which is quite fun. The biggest and oldest finished object I have today is my Arctic pullover. I actually finished it. I hadn't really thought I would do it, but the rest that I had to knit was really quick, so I just added a few rounds from what I had last week. Then I added the short rows that I did in the bag, so this being single color yarn. You can't really tell that there are short rows, but there are short rows, so the bag is actually a bit longer than the front. And then I added the ribbing and I was done. It took me quite a while to weave in all the ends. I can show you the inside of the pullover. Some people are always interested in the floats. And then you can see that I actually did weave in all the ends. There were quite a few of them as I was knitting with 4 colors. And because I did not put all the color work into the yoke, but I split for the front and back and the sleeves before the color work was done, I had to add all the colors in again for the sleeves. So there were lots and lots of ends to weave in. This is the beginning of round where I just pulled the yarn up from where I used it the last time. And this is what the floats look like. And especially in the beginning, there were quite a few rounds with 3 colors, so there's lots and lots of floats up here. There are fewer floats down here because I only use 2 colors at a time. Yeah, but really happy with the way it looks now. I think there's a picture on Ravelry with me wearing the pullover the way it is now, but this week I'm going to wash and block it. And for blocking, the most important bit will be to get the yoke to really lie flat, because at the moment it's still a bit sort of a bit wavy, as if there were a few too many stitches, or maybe it's because of the floats, I don't know, but it's not really flat at the moment, and I had to get it to really lie flat after I washed it, and I might block it a bit lengthwise. It's quite wide, and it's rather on the shorter side of things, so I was again a bit impatient with things, and I will try and block it just a bit lengthwise, just to get just a tiny bit more length than it has at the moment. And then we'll see what it looks like next week, and next week I will wear it. I'm pretty sure it won't be too warm to wear it, so I'll probably be really happy to have a warm pullover like this next week. So that was the oldest and the biggest, and I think that I haven't checked which project I started first, but I'll show you my son's socks. So I said I wanted to knit black socks for him. I added a tiny bit of gray up here, and I said I would repeat the gray at the end of the sock. And if you look at the socks like this, you can't really see the gray, but if I show you this side, this is where I added the gray. And having them on sock blocks like this, excuse me, having the socks on sock blocks makes this look really, really funny. And I think I need a sip of tea right now because, sorry. This cold is really, doesn't want to go away. So I'm mostly fine, but every now and then my throat's acting up a little bit. So if I take the socks off the blockers and if I fold them so that the heel is at the back, I can show you that I knit the big toe separately. So that was the main reason for me to knit these socks, because my son really likes to have socks like these, and it's hard to get them in Germany. He always buys them whenever he's in Japan, which isn't very often, and but he likes them, so I thought I'll try and knit a pair for him. And if he likes them, I might knit more for him. If he wants some changes, I will change whatever he tells me to do. And if he's okay with the contrast color on the toe and up here, I may repeat that with different colors. If he says he doesn't like it, then maybe the next pair will be completely black, but we'll see about that. But I thought that was really fun. It was fun to do, and I'm so excited to see if they fit him and if he likes them. Yeah, so these are I have a lot of grey projects today, I realize. So this is greys and natural colors. This is black and grey. And the next finished object and project is my Bobble Hat by Deb Milstein. And that is white and black, so very little color so far. I finished knitting the hat and tried it on. It fits me, everything is perfect. And then she puts a pom-pom on her hat. And I was wondering, do I make a pom-pom, put a pom-pom on the hat or not? And then everybody said, yeah, you need to have a pom-pom. But I'm not a big fan of traditional pom-poms where you have to cut the yarn. And another person who doesn't like pom-poms like that is Sarah Shearer, the designer for all the gnomes. And she actually designed, I think, 5 hats with knitted pom-poms. And the fun thing about that is that the pattern of the hat is repeated in the pom-pom. So that gave me the idea to knit a pom-pom that sort of echoes the pattern of the hat. So I bought the patterns for those hats years ago. I never made one, but now I use the pom-pom. One of her hats has several colors, so she has a very plain pom-pom where she just picks up the color, one of the colors of the hat, and I use that pattern for the pom-pom. But then I actually did bobbles again. I did these nubs again, and that was so much fun. And in the beginning, all the pom-poms were like in 1 or 2 places, and there was one bit somewhere where there were no, I think here there was no pom-poms at all, so I had to change the number of stitches. I did one more increase anyway because I'm using thinner yarn than Sarah used for her hat, but then I added another increase in the hope that the black bits would sort of be more all over the place. And that worked out fairly well. So they're not all in one place, but they started being spaced out a bit more. And then I ended up with one of the nubs right at the top, and then I could finish the pom-pom with the white yarn. I used a different needle size for the pom-pom because I wanted it to be tight enough so that the stuffing doesn't show. So I had to knit the pom-poms a little, the nubs a little differently. And I also knitted in stockinette and not in ribbing. So there is a bit of a difference between the pom-pom and the hat, but I think that's okay. And I think the overall effect is really, really funny. And I can't wait to hear what Deb has to say about changing that bit of her pattern. Yeah, but I really like the hat. Really happy it's done. And the pattern will be released in a few days. I can't remember what day exactly, but as I said, I already put the link into my project page. So the moment the pattern goes live, there will be a link on my project page, and you can go through to her pattern and you can get the pattern if you want to. So that was finished object number 3, and those 3 are also finished projects. And the last, oh, I just realized before I come to the last finished object, I wanted to remind you that I used the pattern for the pullover from this book, Arctic Knits, and I was given the book for free. So I just wanted to remind you that this is a beautiful book. I told you all about the book in the episode where I started the pullover. And yeah, really happy to have that book. There's lots of other nice things in there as well. Now, the last finished object that's not a finished project are these baby socks. So this year I have decided to publish a tutorial video every month for a different pair of socks and then have a knit along for those socks. So this month we're knitting, no, last month in January we're knitting the socks with the cable pattern, and then this month we're knitting socks with a mohair yarn and a sock yarn held double in seat stitch, and then next month we'll be knitting this funny pattern. It's called Estonian spiral pattern on Ravelry. That's the only name I found for this pattern, and yeah, I've knitted several times in the past. It's really easy to do, and it's a free pattern anyway, so I'm going to explain how to knit this pattern, and then in March I'll be knitting a grown-up pair with this pattern. And I also, when I already showed you the first sock after I finished that and told you about the yarn, that was a new color. These were new colorways in December, I think. And now I finished this pair of socks, but the project itself is not finished because I will have to knit 9 more pairs of baby socks and make the tutorial videos. And by the way, this month's video appeared last Thursday, so we decided that the sock tutorials will always be published on the first Thursday of the month. So that's the plan. So these are going to be the March socks. Now that's all the finished objects for today. Then on to works in progress, and I'll continue with socks and my the socks for my friend with the 4-ply yarn for most of the socks, and then I'm going to use the 6-ply yarn in the same color for the heel and toe. I've almost finished the leg part of the second sock, and then I'm pretty sure that by next week I'll be able to show you the second heel, and then I can just knit, keep knitting. This is one of the mindless, very portable knits that I have on the go at the moment, and I really enjoy knitting on that. Now the other pair of socks that I'm going to show you here are the surprise Sockalong socks pattern by Stephen West that I am knitting for my sister, and I finished the sole of the second sock. So this is the way my sister wants to wear them, and I finished the sole part that I had to attach to the top of the foot, and now all that needs to be done is knit 2 toes, and I'm going to knit my sister's favorite anatomical toes with the adaptation that I did for her last pair of socks, and all she needs to tell me is what colors she wants for the toes. So I ran out of this yarn, but I still have all the contrast color yarns, and then she can tell me how she wants what colors I should use for the toes of those socks. And I hope to be able to knit both the toes this week. So that's that for socks for the moment. The next project is my Christmas Eve cast-on from last year, and it's the beautiful hand-dyed glitter yarn, oops, wrong way round, that I was given by my knit, how do you say, the people I meet with to knit. They tend, most of them are my customers as well, and friends as well, and they tend to give me presents for Christmas. And this year I got this beautiful bag and the yarn that was dyed according to those colors of the picture on the bag and a book with all those patterns. So last week I added this pattern, which was actually in the book that they gave me, but the houses are not out of the book, even though there are 2 houses in the book. But this pattern was part of the advent calendar that another friend gave me, but it's the same designer, so I decided to mix and match the patterns from the book and from the advent calendar. And I really like these little houses. That's the colorful side, and this is the darker side. But on this side, usually the patterns are, you can see the patterns a bit more clearly on this side. So especially with this pattern, I think it's a lot clearer on this side. But the houses actually look nice on both sides, which is something I really like a lot. Yeah, so 2 more patterns done. let's see if I can knit 2 more patterns this week. So that's that. Then I have my first new cast on. Did I say I only cast on 2 new projects? I'm really happy about that. And one of them is another hat out of this new yarn by Hansa Farm. It's called Big and Light. It's 80% alpaca, 20% polyamide. And the polyamide is this thin, like a very thin tube. And then the alpaca fibers get blown into it, so it's not spun, and it makes the yarn so extremely soft. And I already knit a blue hat for my sister, and every time she comes into the shop I take the hat away from her to show it to some customer, and I thought I really need a hat that stays in the shop so that people can see a finished object knit out of that yarn. And because I already knit the hat for my sister, I knew how many stitches to cast on. With my sister, I started the hat at the top, and then I finished it on 84 stitches. For this hat, I cast on 80 stitches because I'm pretty sure this is going to be big enough. And my sister's hat was knit in a knit 1 purl 1 pattern, and this one I'm knitting with the knit 2 purl 2 pattern, just to change things up a little bit. And it's going to be a very simple hat. I started on a 4.5mm needle, then switched to a 5mm needle, and now I'm just going to knit up most of the yarn. Then I'll do some very quick decreases, and then I'll finish the hat. And then I can show how much hat you can get out of 1 ball of yarn, because the yardage is really good. It runs 130 meters for 50 grams, and the recommended needle size is 5 to 8 millimeters, which is quite a big range. But depending on whether you want it tighter, like for this hat, or more loose for a shawl or a scarf, there's a wide variety of needles you can use. Yeah, very simple, but very warm and very soft hat. And then the next project I want to show you is the baby cocoon, where I was given the yarn and the pattern for free so that I can try the project out, and I can show it on my videos, and also I think on Instagram. I don't remember if I've shown it on Instagram yet. Maybe I need to do that. So I finished the pattern, and I finished the second 2 balls of yarn. So I have 6 of them. I'll see if it's enough. The designer said that some people need more than 6 balls, so if I need it more, I can ask her, but I will try and make it fit with the 6 balls. Maybe if I make it a little bit shorter, it should still be okay, and a baby should still fit inside. If I have the feeling it'll get way too small, I'll write to her and ask for another ball of yarn. But for now, I hope it'll be enough. So I just have to do quite a bit more of stockinette stitch knitting, and then there'll be some decreases, and yeah, we'll see how that works out. That's the baby cocoon. And now the only garment I'm knitting for myself, I'll definitely cast on a new one fairly soon, is the Advent Calendar pullover I am knitting. It's a pattern by Martina Omemura, published in a Japanese book, and I am knitting it out of a lot of 20-gram minis that I got in my Advent calendar. So I finished the first sleeve. I finished the front and back that go over the shoulder, and I split it in half for the front or back. And I finished the 20 grams I was knitting on last time. I think I was knitting on them last time. And I've added this colorway, which is really very bright and colorful. And so this is supposed to be the, where I switch from this ball to this ball. This is supposed to be the midpoint of the pullover. So this should be the middle. And then this will be 1/2. This will be the sleeve. Yeah, it's looking good. And so hopefully this will be the same length as this bit. And then once I finish that, I will have to knit the other front or back with the same 2 colors. And then I can go on to the other shoulder and then put all the stitches on one needle again. yeah, fairly simple knitting. Most of it is just simple stockinette. There's only a few stitches on the bottom where every other wrong side row I will knit a few stitches. So I have a I have a ribbing that's worked at the same time, and it pulls in a little bit, but it keeps the stitches from rolling too much. The other edge, I'm not doing anything like that. So this is supposed to roll inside so that I get a bit of a neckline. Yeah, that's the Advent calendar pullover. And then I have added a few more squares to my blanket. I'm really, really looking forward to finishing this blanket now. My All the Memories blanket. Last week, I showed you those 3 squares and I said this is from the socks, with the fish, the bonus pattern from last year's Sock Madness. By the way, there's still a bit time to sign up for the Sock Madness if you want to take part. I think you can sign up until the 14th of February, and then after that, at some point, we'll get the pattern for the qualification socks. So I signed up, I got the email that my registration was registered. I don't know how to say that, but I got the confirmation email, so I know I'm signed up and looking forward to the new Sock Madness. But that was the old Sock Madness bonus pattern, socks for my sister. And then the other 2 squares that I knit, you will probably recognize the colors if you've watched my videos for a while. These are the 2 yarns that I used for the last mystery shawl knit along by Stephen West. What was the pattern called? Can't remember off the top of my head, but it's on my Ravelry page. You can see the shawl, and that was my main color. That was my contrast color. And so I have those 2 now in my blanket, and there's 4 more squares to go, plus the black edging. And then, yeah, it's looking really good. Just a few more weeks probably, and this blanket should be finished. Now on to the knit-alongs that I'm running on my channel. And as I said before, this year we're knitting socks. So for January, I made a tutorial video to show how to knit little cables into socks. I talk about how to change the number of stitches if you are knitting cables. And this is the second sock of my pair, of my grown-up pair. And for the second sock, I put all the cables on one side and no cables on the other side. And I finished the heel. 2 of the cables disappear into the heel, and the other 3 cables run down the length of the foot. And I have maybe managed half the foot. I don't know. I'll keep knitting on this, try and finish it quickly. Well, I'm not stressing myself out, but I just want to get it done fairly quickly. Let's put it that way. And then for this month, I made a tutorial video to show how to knit a sock yarn and a mohair yarn held double and knit it in seat stitch. Seat stitch just for fun, because I did that some years ago and I really liked it. You can do the combination with mohair in any other pattern, or you can knit seat stitch socks without the mohair, whatever you like. Now for my pair, I looked through my mohair yarn stash and I found this really bright and beautiful yellow mohair yarn. This is a yarn by Hansa Farm. They used to produce mohair yarn. They've stopped doing that, which makes me really sad because I loved their mohair silk yarn and it was a very good, it was very fairly priced, and so I've kept quite a bit of it. When they stopped producing it, I kept a lot of the yarn that I had in my shop for me to use, and now I'm using this yellow yarn. And at first I thought of pairing it with opal sock yarn, which is what I usually do, and the new collection that they came out with has a nice yellow yarn. But then I saw the Hansa Farm sock yarn, the colorful variation. I showed it to you in December in one of my episodes, but I haven't gotten around to knitting anything with it yet. And I thought that should make a really nice combination because there's some yellow in here. And I thought these are going to be sofa socks, bed socks anyway. These are socks that I might wear when I'm not really feeling well. And I thought if I'm not really feeling well, I would love to have some bright, colorful socks. And I will probably hand wash them anyway because of the mohair. And then it's fantastic to have alpaca yarn. You can machine wash it on a gentle cycle, but I will probably not wear them all the time and then just hand wash them if I wear them. And I was really interested to see how the stripes, how much you can see of the stripes when you hold the mohair with it. But I really like the way this comes out. So this is what the stripes look like with the yarn held double with the mohair. So it all has a bit of yellow running through, but you can still see the different shades of white and gray and yellow. This is the yellow bit of the yarn. Really like this stripe. And I will probably add a few more rounds for the leg of the sock. I'm not going to make it very high, probably just a little bit longer. Then I'll put in a heel, and I put the short row heel in the video, so I'll put a short row heel in this sock. And then I'm not quite sure whether I'll use the same yarn for the second sock or whether I should use the other ball in the same colors but with the smaller stripes. So with these with this alpaca sock yarn, you have one colorway in two different variations. I showed that also in one of my episodes in December, and I think it'd be rather funny to have the other stripes in the other sock, even though I'll have to start 2 balls of yarn then, but that's probably what I'm going to do. Yeah, and that's everything that I knit last week. Again, no crochet. I have plans to crochet something, and that's the blanket. I'm crocheting a green granny square blanket that I used to crochet out of 10-gram minis, but I ran out of minis with green in them, so I decided to just crochet several granny squares out of a bigger ball of yarn. And I'm just thinking I could make a bigger granny square as well. If I make it double the size, that's something I should think about. And then I could have one bigger granny square in the middle of the blanket or at the side of the blanket or somewhere. I think I like that idea. So I hope to do some crochet this week so I can show you knitting and crochet next week. But that's that for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!